that introduction. I'm honored to be here to speak to all you wonderful people, and my goal is to really give something back and add value to everyone that's here. And you may be super happy with what you do, and you may make a lot of money doing it. So what are you going to do with all that money, though? What I'm about to share with you could be an option. There's a lot of things that you can do with it. I mean, you look around, money is pretty much easy to get, right? You can go anywhere, get money from whatever, anything, get a job, do whatever. You could sell lemonade, whatever you want to do. But the thing is that what do you do with that money afterwards? And there's always investing. You can invest it. You can buy some crypto. It's a good time to buy. It's super down right now. Index funds, real estate, or you can splurge, just spend it all on yourself, right? I believe in creating vehicles that continually generate income, so you don't have to worry about it anymore, right? The last thing you want to worry about is like, oh man, I got to pay this bill, and where am I going to get the money? But if you have an abundance of money and it's just coming in at all these different places, it's one thing that you just don't have to worry about. So, again, there's a lot of things to worry about. Don't let money be one of them. I mean, we're all going to die one day. The question is, how are you going to live? So one vehicle is a business, right? And a business that can run on its own, and but it's not always easy to start one from scratch. So the way I look at it is this: let's say you wanted to be an Uber driver, right? And just to be clear, I'm not an affiliate for Uber in any way, shape, or form. And now that we got that out of the way. To be an Uber driver, the first thing you need is a car, right? So what would you do? Is the first thing you would do is you would go to the dealership and talk to a salesperson, right? Say the salesperson shows you this pile of car parts over here, nuts, bolts, and metal panels, and all the parts for the car. And you're like, hey, wait a minute, I don't want to put this car together. I want a car that's already running. And so I look at a business the same way, right? You can either start a business on your own and put it all together yourself, or you can buy an existing business and have it already running and being profitable, right? The first 2-3 years are are the hardest parts of any business, and most likely you're not going to make your money back until you pass that third year. So if you buy a business that's already been up and running for 3 to 5 years, it's already went through that hardship, and you don't have to put that car together, and basically you just have a car that's running and working, and then boom, you're a quote Uber driver ready to make money. So buying versus starting a business. So first, I guess I'll kind of explain my story. I started off in the early 90s with a car stereo store. Since I was 16 years old, and that was back in the 80s, not to date myself, but my hobby was really putting together car stereos, alarms, and things like that. In fact, I had a mini truck at the time because they were in. I had a full, systems with like 4 15-inch woofers, 4 12-inch woofers, and it was all running off a little Walkman, if you guys remember what a Walkman was. And had the whole thing running off of that into an amp, and it was just playing. And so everybody kind of remembered me from that. And that's kind of like how I started, getting into the car stereo industry. And then ended up working for a shop, found a shop that was for sale, that was about to, the owner wanted to retire and go out of business. And I basically took it over, and I just had a bigger vision than he did. And I made it a one-stop shop, and I grew that business, over 800%. So anyhow, that's a perfect example of buying an existing business, right? Because, to start any business from scratch, the first thing you need is an idea, right? You need excitement, you need passion. There could be tons of upside to it, but it's very risky. And financing is difficult, right? If you have a new concept and you go and try to approach people that, you have really no proof. I mean, all you have really is projected numbers, right? Versus an existing business, it's already, facts are there, right? You have their P&L, you have their balance sheet, you can, their cash flow, etc. So anyways, and then also, to start a business, you need that operator's hat, right? So, and then when you buy a business, you've already got customers, you already got employees, revenue, profits, a track record, a brand, right? And then also, whoever you buy this from, you have an Uber co-pilot, right? You have somebody that can kind of like train you, guide you through, and show you the business, and that's all part of the buying process and negotiating, what they're going to teach you and whatnot. So financing is a lot easier because, like I said, all the numbers are there. There's less risk, and now you have an investor hat rather than the operator's hat, right? And so there's a bunch of moving parts to it, right? First of all, you got to find the business for sale, and a lot of people don't know this, but there are actually 28 million businesses for sale in the United States of America, right? And 41% of those 28 million are baby boomers. They're old, tired, dying, or they're sick, and they want out, right? So, and a lot of times they don't have a plan to pass it on. They have no successor, and so when 60% of them have no successor. So, if you're looking to buy a business, it's a good thing for you, and there's a lot of them out there, right? A lot of them are under 98% of them are under $1 million, generating under $1 million, less than 10 employees, which is like the perfect business to buy. Anyways, there's a lot more that goes into it. But anyhow, then you have to value it, right? You have to do your research, due diligence, look at its margins, its value, predictability, the sustainability, things like that. And then you got to buy it, right? You got to negotiate terms, and there's a whole transition, and you want to do a non-compete. You got to get lawyers involved many times, and it has to work for both parties, the seller and the buyer, right? So, and then another thing is you got to finance it. You got to either use your money, which I don't suggest you do, but most of the time, the seller will finance most of it, because they know getting a business loan is not the easiest thing to do. So, and they'll usually carry about 30 to 70%. I mean, just from my experience. And then also, you can go to the bank. You can also get outside investors, your friends, family. And you're probably saying to yourself, I don't want to get my friends and family involved. But, at the same time, if this is a business that you've done your research on, your due diligence, and it's profitable, getting a 20% return on your investment is probably what I would offer. And if you're looking to buy a business, and it's like, I don't have anybody that wants to invest with me, and it's like, who on this Zoom, on this call right now would like 20% back on their money, and there you go. I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody has their hands up, because getting 20% out back on your money is not easy to be as an investor, right? So anyhow, so yeah, if you're looking for investors, boom, I just found you some investors, guys. Then also you have to run it, right? You have to run the business, and the outcomes, the execution, the follow through, and then you got to improve it. You got to grow it, right? It's constant and never ending improvement is what you basically got to do, and you got to keep growing it so it can keep generating income, right? You got to continue that culture, and if it doesn't have a culture, you got to build one, and then you got to be accountable too. So if you're not an entrepreneur already, and you have to get that going. You have to hold yourself accountable. So when I buy businesses, I stick with small businesses, and 95% of all businesses never get to the 2 million mark, right? And the first 5 years is the most difficult part, which is why I love buying businesses. And so I have an example here, and I'm just going to throw out some numbers, and if you're don't worry about trying to remember this, or you can take notes if you want to on this. But let's just say you found a business and it's doing about 1.9 million in sales, right? And you're basically at the end of the day, you find out the operating income is 550,000. Let's just say, right? And so usually when you value this business is 3x the operating income, right? Which will give you about 1.65, right? So that's basically what the business is worth, and like I said, the average seller will carry 50 to 70%, and usually at like a 8%, 8% rate. that you would pay them on. So anyhow, that's probably about $1 million. And then, maybe the bank will usually only, give you a certain amount depending on your history with them and your credit score and, all those good things. And let's just say, you get about $350,000 from the bank. Now you're $300,000 short. And again, if you're looking for investors, they're out there. You just got to go out and look for them. Okay. So anyways, let's say you find $200,000 with investors. Now you need to come up with $100,000. Most people that want to invest in a business usually have about $100,000. And even if you didn't, you can also go and get a little bit more from those investors, family, friends, whoever. So anyways, at the end of 5 years, you invested $50,000 to $100,000. And at the end of 5 years, you would have been able to pay everybody off. And at this point, your return on investment is about $150,000 annually, right? And as you grow the business, you're going to be earning about $500,000, about $500,000 a year, right? And so now at this point, you have the option of reselling it for 1.6, or you can continue. Now it's all gravy, it's all profits, $500,000 that you generate from this business. So anyhow, I knew I threw a lot of numbers out there for you guys, and it probably didn't make sense unless I kind of had a slide. But anyhow, we can talk later if you want to offline if you want to get into that. But anyway, you can find Business for Sale just by going to businessforsale.com, or there's Sunbelt Network. There's a bunch of them out there, right? And what's cool about these sites is that they'll show the asking price, the revenue, the cash flow, the location, all the things that you really need to assess and see if this business is profitable, right? And so after that, you have to figure out what your formula of the business is. So in the restaurant business, the numbers are usually about 30% operation, 8% rent, 25% cost of goods sold, and 25% in wages, and you'll probably end up with a 12% profit margin, right? So that's why a lot of people say restaurant business is hard, because the profit margin is so itty bitty, right? 12%, man. I mean, even you can imagine, even if you're doing $1 million a year, which by the way isn't really that hard. I'm gonna talk about that in a second, but anyhow, 12%, it's really, really small, and you really have to be strategic. You have to be a numbers person and really stick to this formula, right? So every business is going to have its own formula. Some of them, your wages may go way down. Some of them, your wages may go way up. It just depends, and that's really again up to you to kind of like do the numbers. After that, you got to find the right team. And the greatest people are self-managing, which means that you don't have to manage them. They manage themselves. As long as they have that common vision, at that point, you just need to be a leader, and make sure that you find people that have opposing strengths. They make sure they respond to the to your vision, right? Or the money. Usually the vision is probably someone that you really want to concentrate on. And I always hire 2 at a time. The reason why I hire 2 at a time is because if there's gonna be competition to rise up, and you always want to have a backup. Basically, you don't want to settle, right? You don't want to settle for workers that are just doing the job just to get by. And don't settle. Be really, make sure this person is somebody that you would you would want to hire to run your company, maybe. But just don't settle. That's the best advice I can give you with anything in life. Your partner, the car that you drive, whatever it may be, just don't settle, right? Get and have a vision of what you want and get that in your life, and constantly raise your standards, right? You always I can't tell you in how many restaurants. I'm a restaurant consultant by trade, and so many restaurants out there where their standards are so low that I'm surprised that if somebody were to walk in some of these kitchens, you probably would never eat there again. And some of these these kitchens are pretty popular, and there's a lot of people that eat there. I'm not going to say any names, but it's just the way that it is. But anyhow, when this is your own business, you want to raise those standards. You want to keep your values and your principles in check, and just don't compromise. So look out for the long-term thinker versus the short-term thinker. Also test until you can trust this person. See how they handle crisis, how they are under pressure, and also have this call out environment where where other coworkers are not afraid to kind of call people out, right? I'm sure you see this a lot where you're at a job and this other person's really not up to par, but nobody wants to say anything. But really, for my companies, I want to create that environment where they're not scared to go out and tell people, hey, whatever. You can get your own examples, but so anyways, and then also I want to give all my employees the freedom of ideas. I want people to chip in and let me know what they're thinking, how we can improve things, and even new products, new services, whatever it may be. And you want to paint a picture of who they can be. If you see something in somebody, let them know that what you see in them and what they could be one day, right? And you always want to build them up. They're going to be a better team player for you, and you yourself, you need to be all in, because everybody can sense a person that's not all in.